And greetings, everyone. I'm Mar. Once again, this is my opinion. As you can tell from the title, I'm continuing my trek through Everybody Loves Raymond, one episode and one season at a time. We are now on the second episode of Season 8. This is, of course, Thank You Notes. Not much trivia to talk about with this one, but of course, it is written by Phil Rosenthal. And of course, after the behind-the-scenes drama from the previous episode, Brad makes his on-screen return. Here's the thing. Of course, it involves Robert and Amy returning from their honeymoon. Things at home seem to be the same thing, but Marie has been waiting. Now, this I also saw first run. Just looking at the titles for the next few episodes, these first 5 I did see and first run, and that's when we get into this too, that for some reason I didn't like. I didn't see episode 6, episode 7, and then episode 9 and 10 I did. 8 I don't remember why I didn't. Disc 3 I don't remember seeing any of these except for episode 12. Disc 4 probably just episode 16, and then on disc 5 only the second to last. So there's going to be a little skip around. I do not remember why either. I did not know there was one that week for some reason, because if you look at the dates, there are weeks that they don't have episodes, or I was just busy that weekend and I forgot. Now, episode begins with what seems like a normal busy morning for Ray and Debra, which of course now the kids are getting older. By this point, Allie, let's see, she is an adolescent. Let's see how old she would be. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, she'd be 12 about this point. So the twins would be about 9-ish. So late elementary school for them, and Allie's in middle school, so a lot more work and a lot busier in the morning. They're trying to get everyone ready and get out the door. And of course, so hectic that they forget to get the twins their homework. But as they're going through the hectic, in walk Robert and Amy, fresh from their honeymoon, trying to see, like, hey, everybody. But as Robert puts it, before it goes to the commercial break, he's like, it looks like we didn't miss anything. And of course, they start talking to them, telling them about their honeymoon and how beautiful it was in Italy. Which I think them going to Italy for their honeymoon is an interesting choice, considering what happened the last time Robert went to Italy. But I think they threw that in there as a joke like that. But you would think they'd have to be careful, because remember, even though he's living in America now, Marco still knows people in Italy. But I guess they weren't thinking of that, since Marco hasn't been in the show in over a season. So there's that. Now, they talk a little bit, and then in walk Frank and Marie. They're also happy to see the couple, to the point where Marie is uncharacteristically smothering just Robert, and even tells Ray, can't you see we're having a conversation? Which, with how Ray Romano plays it, you can tell his character is not used to Marie doing this, and she's only done something like this a couple other times. One, of course, being when she was mad at him for having the party in her house. So here she goes. And of course, they bring them gifts from the trip. They got a little antique thing for Marie, and for Frank they got shrapnel. Which I just love the way Peter Boyle plays this and the way it's written. It's like, this is the most awful thing anyone's ever given me. Now, as I mentioned multiple times, you can definitely tell that Peter's health issues are starting to affect his performance a little bit more, like a little shakiness in his voice, and is not as energetic. Now, in the last season, it would come and go. From this point on, while he might have a little bit of that higher energy, it doesn't really translate well to his voice, and you can definitely tell that he's getting tired, which it could also be like with how long the show has been, that he's starting not to have that same pep in his step and trying to, pace himself. But considering he would die a year after the show ends, you kind of guess he probably already knew, and he was just really trying to pace himself and save his energy, or he just didn't know and it's just a coincidence. Either way, but you could definitely tell. But he's still pretty funny. It's just a different delivery. It's like you compare 80s and 90s Carlin to last couple years of comedy Carlin, where still has the wit and the timing. It's just that the delivery is different. but it's still fun to enjoy. It's just something you gotta notice and acknowledge. Now, you know how things go. The Marie is gonna cause some drama. And part of it is when she starts bringing up the wedding gifts, specifically one that Lee and Stan sent them, which was their wedding invitation and this little candle thing that once the candle melts down, it'll be like a window within the wax thing for it. And that, because of that and a couple other gifts, will there be thank you notes? Which I get wanting to have people send thank you notes. Especially something that Marie seems like she'd be anal retentive over. But it's one of those things that, yeah, of course, they'll get them. But of course, Marie pushes the buttons. And when will they get them, dear? They'll get them when they get them. And of course, Marie keeps pushing it until she's like, I just don't care about this right now. Says it the wrong way, apparently, in the wrong tone, and it sets off Marie. But this is one of those instances where you got to look at it and go, Marie, they'll get them is a full answer. You don't keep pushing the button. Now, we all know how Marie is, so this could be her trying to see if she can get her new daughter-in-law to do it. And of course she doesn't, and just the way she snapped back at, which she should know that by this point in the relationship, 8 years-ish, Amy knows Marie knows what she's about. So the type of thing she's going to do is not going to work. But Marie takes it personally, gives back the antique, takes Frank's chaperone, gives it back, and then walks him out the door back to the house. And they're all like, what the... Now, Debra has a good line here that still gets a good chuckle out of me, describing this whole situation. Oh, sorry, dear. You married into the Manson family. Charlie goes off like that sometimes. A little bit of dark humor. If the show was made in the 70s, probably wouldn't have gone off as well, but now that it's the early 2000s, you could joke about something like that, especially since even back then we all knew Charlie Manson was not getting out of prison on parole. Maybe one of the ladies, but definitely not Charlie. You're not going to be snapping on nobody ever again. And it's a pretty decent way to describe Marie when she gets like that. Oh, there's my Odie. Yeah, Odie wants a little cameo in the episode. Now, to go with it, Debra takes Amy aside and starts talking about how she's finally glad she has somebody that could help her try to put Marie in her place, that they need to band together to keep Marie from continuing like this. And they start thinking of ways to do it. Now, to steal a phrase from an earlier episode, this looks like it might destroy some of the family harmony. And of course, not wanting that, you'd think it's going to be Robert that goes across the street to talk. Nope, it is Ray. He goes across the street. First he talks with his dad about it. And of course Frank's mind is only on one thing. Did you bring my shrapnel? No. And he starts letting them know what they're all trying to do. You know, like they're trying to band together and all that. Part of me thinks this might be a little tongue-in-cheek reference to the previous episodes of drama. They're like, okay, we got the money back. You guys want to try to do that to us? Okay, we're going to throw this in there. And CBS being like, that's just something I noticed now. But if that's the case, then I guess Marie's supposed to be playing the part of CBS if they got their way. Because Marie is there and she interjects. Is like, I don't know yet. Did you know she was there? Yes. And Marie goes across the street. Of course, Ray tries to play it off at first that like he didn't do anything. But then she lays down that you brought it to my attention. And she tries this whole speech about conspiring against the elderly. And one of her comparisons, I'm like, really? Because she's like, in the Orient, elders are revered and honored, not plotted against. First of all, Marie, we're not in Asia. Second of all, I'm sure they would be, the cultural differences aside, if they pulled a lot of the crap you're pulling in this episode and throughout the series. Because, to be honest, by this point, with all the crap you've done, you deserve to be plotted against by your daughter-in-laws. Because, as I mentioned before, and I'll say it again here, if a mother-in-law in real life tried a lot of the crap Marie's done, you would not judge them for going no contact with that mother-in-law. Because if it was me, it'd be like, nope, you're not seeing the grandkids or us for a long time if you're going to continue this behavior. And I would do that. But then again, it's also because I'm not going to bring it up here, but you all know my whole feelings with my own mother and all that. So I have no problem not seeing the person again if they pull too much crap repeatedly. And if it's like Marie, even though it's tame compared to what my own mother has done, oh yeah, we'll do. We'll go that way. And of course they have the back and forth conversation where Amy tries to apologize and like, I'll get those notes out. And of course Deborah's like, no, Amy, no. But she agrees with Ray for once, and she's like, Debra, we should do what Ray suggested earlier. We should all just try being nice. Which is a good sentiment. You always should try being nice. But in certain circumstances, there are times where just being nice does not work. Whether it be family, life, and all that. And with how Marie is, that is one way. Because trying to be nice does not always work. Because as we've seen before, and we'll see again, Marie will just roll with it and say like, oh yeah, you're just being a fake nice. You know, when in Rome. So, it doesn't always work. And what Marie definitely will not always work. So I think at this point, it's just Amy being overly optimistic to try to get off on the right foot as a actual member of the family now legally. And of course, Debra, with how long she's been in this family, she knows that's not going to work in the long run. She tries and fails, so I just like her line after Amy says that. She's like, I've lost her. And of course, episode ends there. Debra like, okay, this is going to be the status quo for now. And that is essentially what this episode sets up. It sets up what the new status quo is going to be. Amy's role in the family is going to be to try to make the peace with everybody. How successful she's going to be with that in the long run, we do not know. We'll go. But Amy does get a good line about all this. It's like, I come from a family that wouldn't yell if they were on fire. Which, considering how we've seen her family in the previous episodes, I could see, but the Barones definitely have made them yell more. And will continue in their subsequent appearances, so keep an eye on that. And that's really all to talk about with this one. And like I said, it does set up the new status quo, has the characters return from honeymoon, and it's a pretty fun episode. Now, if this had been the season opener and then the honeymoon had just been all in the interim, it would definitely have been a stronger season opener. So, but that's a what if. If wishes were fishes, we'd all be eating seafood. Now, the next episode is going to be a fun one to talk about, because it's one that I definitely connected with as a kid from the point of view of the twin. Now, watching it back as an adult, I have a feeling I'll probably connect with Ray's side a little bit more, but then I'll be able to talk about the perspective on that a little bit. That, of course, is going to be the episode with one of the twins constantly wanting to stay home from school. Until then, everybody.